the New Britain Board of Education, providing students with a high-quality education.
Good evening. The time is 6:05 and we will call this meeting to order. We could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Santana, will you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could you please call the roll?
Oh, no, that's the school district.
Ms. Gail Sanders Conway.
Present.
Mr. Merrill Gay.
Present.
Mr. Joseph Westro.
Present.
Mr. Anthony King. Ms. Monica
Which one?
see.
Yo.
Ms. Monica Dawkins.
Present.
Mr. Anthony King Luque.
Present.
Mr. Matthew Marino.
Excused.
Ms. Annie Parker.
Here.
Ms. Diana Reyes. Here. Ms. Tina Santana.
Here.
Thank you. I'd like to take a moment of meditation. If we could keep the Holmes family, a family from Holmes Elementary School in their prayers or in your thoughts.
And also the victim last night.
Thank you. We do have staff recognition. I will get through this without crying, I promise. So, on the 4th day of April 2022, in recognition of your heroic and compassionate actions in helping to save the life of a Smalley Elementary student, your bravery and willingness to go above and beyond to support the children of New Britain is highly commended. And this goes out to Carmen Perez. Is Andrea Foligno or Arlene somebody?
Yep, they're here. Do you want to stand at the podium with them? Right over there.
Well, I should get noticed when they ask to speak.
Well, you know I couldn't do it. They're this brain. No way.
So on this day, we're all working, and over the walkie, we hear that there's a child choking at the opposite end of the building. Well, Arlene and I go running. As we walk out the door, we see BSAs, we see FSLs, we see our nurses. We're all running to the other end of the building, which is where the classroom is. We get there, the only one that's in distress is Carmen because she had to have a maneuver. And this child was choking on a piece of apple. The child was fine, was not even upset. We had to give her a cup of coffee and relax. But you know, I have to say the idea that we are all trained in case there's an emergency. So we have wonderful nurses, we have great people. Everyone's trained. She was in the right place at the right, right moment. So kudos to our district and Jackie Maddox for making sure that everyone is properly trained every year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you. All right, we do have one member signed up for public participation, Mr. Alexis Lopez. I know, I know.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon, good evening.
Mi nombre es Alexis López.
My name is Alex Lopez.
Represento
I represent
a International Chapter Pioneer
International Chapter Pioneers
y a Hispanic Community of Faith
in Hispanic Community of Faith
aquí en la ciudad de Nurita.
in the city of New Britain.
Queremos darle gracias
We want to give thanks
a la señora Tina,
to,
señora Tina
Tina.
Santana, por el labor
for the labor
que está haciendo
that she's doing
con la comunidad de fe.
with the community of faith
Yo represento,
that he represents.
he
Represents
la comunidad de fe,
the community of faith
que siempre hemos querido
that we always have wanted
trabajar
to work
con el Departamento de Educación,
with the Department of Education,
mano a mano,
hand in hand,
no religiosidad,
not religious,
sino traer
to bring
recursos,
resources.
la comunidad
The community,
a la comunidad del Boro de Educación.
the community to give to the Board of Ed.
El día 8 de este mes
The 8th of April,
estaremos
we will be
nuevamente
again
levantando
raising up our flag
ese día, gracias a la comunidad de la alcaldía de la ciudad de
Thank you for the
Nurita,
community of New Britain
por dejarnos hacer este evento
to let us do this event
que representa a todos nosotros.
that represents us, our Christians.
Así que gracias una vez más
I thank you again
por la oportunidad
for the opportunity
que nos puedan brindar
that you can give us,
el Departamento de Educación,
the Department of
y
Education,
nosotros estamos aquí
and we're here.
para ayudarlos,
We're here to help.
en lo que sea. ¿Ok? Gracias por su tiempo. Dios les bendice a todos.
So he says, thank you and God bless you all. I would like to add something. We would like, as Muslims, have had the opportunity to have their prayers in school and make their arrangements. We would like to see if that could be equal for our religion. All of our children have a religion, you know, and it'll be nice if that could be as equal as well, you know, for the community as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Adelante.
Is there anybody else from the public who would like to speak? Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? Last time, is there anyone who would like to address the board? All right, thank you. I would like to make a motion to add an item to the agenda of executive session.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. I would like to bring back Miss Sarah, Miss Mary Ellen Manning. Donna Swaby will come after. Yeah. And then after, we will call for Miss Donna Swaby. We are back in session. All right, so we have item 2. There's a resolution to approve a resolution to declare the month of April Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month. And is Miss Santana? All right, well, I guess I will read it. All right, so this is a resolution declaring April 2022 as Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month. Whereas autism spectrum disorder is a complex, lifelong developmental disorder that can impact an individual's social skills, communications, and relationships, and can vary in severity based on the individual. And whereas autism is the fastest growing developmental disorder in the United States, with 1 in 44 children being diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. And whereas autism disorders can affect all persons, regardless of race, religion, socioeconomic status, or geography. And whereas there is a continued need for awareness and acceptance of those with autism through improving support and opportunities in education, employment, housing, healthcare, and long-term services. And whereas April is now recognized as Autism Awareness Month to increase awareness about autism signs and symptoms and promote acceptance of individuals with autism. And whereas during April 2022, the aim of autism awareness is to celebrate differences and build an inclusive society for individuals with autism to live fully through connection and acceptance. Now therefore be it resolved by the New Britain Board of Education that said members hereby recognize April 2022 as Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month.
Motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm sure there should be opposed. All right, so item A, superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. I actually have a couple of people. I wanted Rebecca to come up first to give you an update on the ADA project. She does have it in writing. We had it a little bit earlier, so if you have questions. But Rebecca, you're up.
Hello, everyone. We need a larger meeting space, so I'll put that on my agenda as well. Just wanted to provide a quick update on the ADA project. Last Friday, facilities met with some of the town folks, the fire department, the building inspector folks, the construction team, and also KBA, the architects, to give a final overview of where we stand with the project and what the next steps might be. They presented some budgets, the proposed budget with the revision to include additional work to be that they found to be incomplete. And they also provided a project timeline, which includes an early bid package that they are trying to move out for the first week of May. Because what's included in that early bid is kitchen equipment, science casework, doors, and hardware. And in order to move forward with that project and have a summer completion, we have to put those out by the first week of May. So there's more information to come. This meeting was just to give you a quick update on where we stand with the project. And we're proposing that we have a special meeting on the 18th, possibly, to have the construction company and the architects come in and present a short, overview of the project, and then maybe hope to move for a proposal. I can get you all of the information, the new proposed bid, or actually the budget and the timeline sometime this week, so you can review it in enough time. And so I just wanted to give you a quick update on that. Anyone any questions?
On the 18th. We did add it as a special just before.
Add the special?
Yeah, we'll figure out.
Would it be okay to have the construction team here to present as well?
If you guys keep the agenda really small.
Yes,
or
very
policy
small.
or curriculum.
Small bullets.
No,
Just
we
in
can
case
figure
everyone
out,
has
maybe push
questions.
one or the other.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Questions?
All right.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
You'll notice also, and I know Jackie did leave, we've been teaming with Bruce Baxter at EMS. We had our first Narcan training. It's a virtual event. We have another one coming up. We have quite a few people participate. All the details are in there for you. We do have our Narcan kits in every one of our buildings. All nurses are trained, administrators, also building leaders are trained as well. And just staying current, and that will become a yearly training for all staff, very similar to EpiPen training and those other sorts of life-saving instances. So starting for the upcoming 22 school year, all staff will be trained in Narcan training. So anyway, that's that. And I do have Antoine Billy, Associate Principal at New Britain High School. He's virtual. And I think, Antoine, it was back in September, October. It was very early in the school year, very early, when we were just trying to run as fast as the kids were running. Talking about how we can have students be able to write the story of what New Britain High is, right? And again, there's a lot of negative press that's out there. People like to continue to do that. And so Antoine took this, and I'm going to turn it over to you now, Antoine, to talk a little bit about the work you're doing.
Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? Yes, it was mid-fall in which Superintendent Sarah wanted to change talk to students about changing the narrative in high school, taking control of our own story, and showing all the positive things that was going on with the high school. And we were able to bring some of our student councils together into our lecture hall, and it became very clear in talking with the students that not only was it more about bringing the positive things about the school, but also doing even what's going on at the school even more. And the medium that came out clearly from that discussion was that students wanted to get New Britain High School on social media and to display and show all those different things that we had. So a focus group was put together with myself, Ms. Sandra Sanford, Anna Duffin, Tajay Barrett, Matt Kanata, and as well as Ryan Langer when Matt stepped off. And so to figure out how we can get that to happen for the high school, and so we had to get some of these platforms going. We had some that was dormant, so we had to combine them and figure out how we can actually put posts up to different, I guess we would call it intermediate. So we're not actually going to different, each platform by itself. We can do it all at once. And so we kind of set up a system to do that type of thing. And we launched around, I would say around February. We started meeting around November, December, and we was able to get the platform up and going and ready to go for February. And so over that time, we were just sending things out. We sent out a blast to all of the staff in Newport High School, all of the students, all of our parents to say join and get together. And we've got, at least on Twitter, we have at least 250, 300 people following us. And it's not all parents and students. Sometimes you have the media that follows us as well. But I did just set a survey. We wanted to find out how we were doing. And you'll see within your packet, the superintendent report, some of the things that students, staff, and parents said. And we did get 51 responses back. And I think that, that's compared to how, compared to who we sent it out to, it's a little low, but I figure out we'll take what we have and take that data and go from there. So if you look at it, you had that many of our people said they had not joined, and from that, for the people who said they had not joined, they said they weren't aware. And so we're trying to figure out how we can actually reach our, that's something that Newport High School is trying to figure out, how we can reach our students and staff in a more efficient way through our announcements, through our Power School platform, and more so using a text message. So I know what I normally send things out. I send it through text message. It goes right to your phone, and you can work that deal with your phone. But if you pay attention to some of the actual feedback, the written feedback, I kind of categorized what was there. We have, in general, our students are talking about, well, our teachers and staff are talking about that, that they would like to see the email, right, and which we'll continue to do, try to do more of that, and continue to do that. But our parents and guardians was talking more about this line, all of our social media, and I know that's something that within our focus group, that's something we wanted to talk. We talked about that to make sure we can align it more, and it's not just all over the place. And that's some work that we can do there. But then our students talk about how a specific post, promote more of the athletics at the school, and one of the things that really popped out to me, which we talked about, was how the students run it themselves. And so that goes into teaching students digital citizenship, but also getting it into a class in which you do it there. And so, that's up for discussion. That's something I'm going to be bringing forward to Principal Pierce to see if we can get into a class. I do oversee one of our Med Academy at the school, and so we can try and get into one of our classes there. But that's where we stand, and we're looking to just try to kind of continue to promote positivity at school and to allow our incoming freshmen to kind of like do a reset, to have them come in, join our platforms, see all the things that we have to offer, all the videos, all the pictures of things, the kids doing things that's going on at school, and to continue to promote positivity that we see at the school so we can write out in the story. And that's really the dance for the day.
Thank you, Mr. Belli.
Very cool.
Other thing I just wanted to make you aware of, were there questions for that first? It's also in your packet are the senior activities that are happening from now until the end of the year, but just take note, Thursday, June 23rd is graduation. And for all the board members, we process down with the students as well. So we meet at the high school. You'll get your graduation gown, cap and gown there. And we all walk down South Main in the sea of red and gold. It's really a really neat experience. And it's set for the graduates are lining up by 9 o'clock. Usually we're there by 9 a.m. so we can get our caps and everything done. And then it's usually over. There's a rain delay on the same day. We're doing it on the same day.
My grad is Thursday night? Okay. I just have to put it on my calendar now, so I take the day off.
I'll work the kitchen again. I just like the.
Oh my God, it's so much fun. Like, if you've never done it, you have to just do it.
Yeah,
It's-
or just come, just right
Yeah.
to experience it. It's a nice night. So that's about it. There's quite a few pages, but you can read through most of it. Any questions, always let me know.
All right. Any questions on superintendent report? No. All right, committee report, curriculum. Mr. Kane with a K.
We, again, met and discussed the social studies curriculum, and we brought it forward and it's on consent.
Awesome. Oh, personnel, we did not.
We did not meet.
Policy,
Do not meet.
finance.
Finance, we met last Monday. We had quite a few items on our agenda. I think we altogether 30 items on our agenda. Mainly bids, bid waivers, we've accepted a few donations, most of them which are on consent tonight. There are a few that we'll be going over on the regular agenda. But yeah, we had 30 items that we approved.
Awesome. All right. Board reports.
I had the pleasure of seeing New Britain High's production of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Yes, it
and
was phenomenal.
These kids worked so hard. They were so amazing. The show was fantastic. We just really have some really talented kids. I was so impressed and so proud of them.
Yeah. Anybody? Yeah.
Pardon me, two things. One, the Christian flag is being raised right over here in front of, right here in Central Park, at 11 o'clock on Friday, so if anybody can attend. That's what Alexi was talking about, Pastor Alexi rather. And then my own personal fave, which is the Borinqueniers Monument, which was the special infantry unit sent from Puerto Rico into Korea. And so the Borinqueniers Monument is every year on the 13th. And so we have special representation that's coming directly from Puerto Rico and then also just in general. And it's just a really good day. So here and in Puerto Rico, we're doing ours.
13th of April?
The 13th of April every year.
Send us a reminder.
I will.
Okay.
Okay, my granddaughter invited me to a taco night.
Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, taco night at Slade School with the after-school program, and Roots and Miss Rita, who was amazing, taught us how to make tacos, and the items were all fresh, and I was really impressed because there were fathers there rather than so many mothers, and there were brothers there with their siblings too, and we had a really good night. A few jalapeno peppers there too. And they're going to do, I think we'll have a different night of cooking sometime this month, I think it is. They're going to do another one.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Can I just do more?
Wait, let me see if anybody else.
My funny one, which is door knocking. I totally love going door knocking. I'm doing Pulaski door knocking in the next neighborhood, which is Dean Drive at Governor Street, on the 23rd, the weekend on the 23rd. So that's what we're going to.
Look out for Tina's face.
Watch out for me. I love it early in the morning, knock on
What
the
are you
doors.
knocking on their doors for?
Police, yeah. No, I actually go and invite them to Pulaski. I'm a Pulaski parent. I'm a Slade parent, and I'm also a New Britain High School parent. So we go, and Miss Robles, myself, the Latinos in Action teacher, and usually another community person, and we just go and say hi and introduce ourselves and invite them formally. You have any questions, anything you want to know, and what can we do to help you and support you? And that's what we do. So we did Milikowski Circle already, and now we're kind of working our way up and around.
Awesome.
So
That's awesome.
and she lets me bring coffee and everything. It's really cool.
Your camelback.
Yeah.
So I also did go to Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Like, I love it. Like, it's just amazing. Every year they just do a phenomenal job, and I'm just happy it's back. Everything was in person. So kind of an important update, superintendent search. Over the last month, I would say we had 13 focus groups. 13 focus groups. We did the surveys, virtual surveys, 4 different languages. This board, I cannot thank enough. In the last month, can anybody guess how long we have done interviews? Just any guess? Hours.
100 hours.
Oh, no, not 27 hours in the last 2 weeks. We have been together.
That's lowballing it.
It might be.
No.
Well, I did what was scheduled. I didn't do what was over.
No,
I did
because
the
we have
scheduled
prep.
Well, no, this is just interviews, not the prep time. So,
Add prep time.
yeah, add some prep time. We are
Yeah, we
taking
always went
it.
over schedule too.
Yes, and then we were talking after.
Yeah, so we've.
It was a lot.
We're taking it very, very seriously.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So hopefully we will have something soon. I don't have a better update today, but hopefully within, I don't even want to give a time frame because we were already behind a little bit, so, but that is all. Like, I just thank these guys a lot, keeping an attention for 27 hours together. Like weekends, we did Friday, Sunday,
6 hour nights sometimes.
6 hours.
No, but you gotta add, the struggle is real. We're doing it virtually. Half the time, if somebody's like, their voice sounds all of a sudden like they came through a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
You know, we're like, shut this off.
Yeah, I mean, we're virtual, so.
Weekends
Yeah.
on Zoom does not compare to weekend at Bernie's.
No. Yeah, we could call it that. We
Right?
on Zoom. But I just wanted to give that quick update. Like, we are taking it very seriously. I don't have a lot of information, but it's been a lot. So, anybody else have any board reports?
I do not have anything to say. Really? Nothing?
Not Tony, nothing. All right.
Nothing?
So, so presentations, item A. I am so super excited. I can't tell you.
We're excited too.
Yes. Yes.
Good evening to the board. We are very excited to be here. I'm representing the high school admin team here today. We had many years ago positions on the board. They were student Board of Education representatives. And then it kind of fell off the radar, not sure how, but we are super excited tonight. I'm going to start by kind of talking about the process that we went about getting to where we are today. And then we have the three students here with us tonight to introduce themselves to you all. So back on January 31st, well, even right before that, we met as an admin team to decide kind of what we wanted as a criteria for this role. And so on January 31st, we posted the flyer for nominations. And we decided that it would be a good idea to look at our 11th graders and that we could each year nominate 11th graders in their junior year to serve their senior year, essentially. So we put the flyer out. Basic criteria was you had to be an 11th grader. You had to have a C- or higher in all of your classes, and we wanted someone who was involved in either a club or some sort of community organization, so some sort of extracurricular involvement. We put the nominations form out there to all grade levels, and we came back with the three students that I have for you today. So we didn't know with the first go around. Nominations were out for about a week and a half, how many we would get. The plan had been initially at first, to then go to a voting process. But given that we had 3 nominations and you can have up to 4 student representatives, we went with the 3 who are great, having met with them recently in the last couple of weeks, great candidates. So the 3 candidates that we have for you tonight are Olivia Witkowski. They're going to come up. Tomas Portillo and Yusuf Alwan.
If you want to have them come around and then they can talk.
And then they can introduce themselves.
Yeah. We have little presents. We have welcome
Just come and shake
gifts.
hands. You come right inside the
Yeah.
workshop. Oh, that way.
Yep.
And then you can start by shaking all the.
Well, if you don't want to shake hands, you don't have to
Well,
shake hands.
yeah,
Yeah,
It's up to you. Whatever you want to do.
I know, I'll shake. I'm okay with shaking. Like, welcome. No presents. We'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, watch the wires. Don't be surprised if there's some Snickers in there.
I gotta say that I feel a little old tonight because I had my first year teaching. I had Olivia in my class, and she was 3rd grade then. Now she's 11th grader.
Yep, there you go.
Wait, you feel old? I went to high school with her parents. There's something wrong here. Hold on.
Hello, my name is Tomas Portillo. I'm a junior at New Britain High School, of course. I'm really proud to be representing the New Britain High School community, the student body. I mean, this team, I've known these people for years, and we are really representative of the student body, very diverse, and I think that's really important. We're going to be able to get the students' voices out here and to you guys.
Hello, and thank you for the wonderful gifts and welcome. I'm really proud of being a student representative, and it's an honor to really come back and serve my community and being able to see everybody coming together just to help New Britain in the district. So just doing all this just for New Britain in the district and just seeing all of these people here just for this meeting is really a pleasure, and being here is just truly an honor. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Olivia Witkowski. I'm a junior at New Britain High School, and I don't know what to say. I've been a student. I've lived in New Britain my whole life. I started public school here in 5th grade. Before that, I went to Sacred Heart School. I've been a part of many community activities like the Polish Scouting. I went to CCD religion classes at Sacred Heart School, Polish school for 11 years through New Britain High School. So I'm really excited to work with the board to make New Britain a safer educational environment and just make it overall a better experience for all students.
Do you guys have any questions for any of us?
I would like to know what actually made you want to be a board representative. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I consider myself somewhat social. I'd like to say that. And these students really have a lot to say. And I think, well, I consider myself a good writer too. If I had to write a report, I could definitely put all these students' words into like one cohesive thought, like so they actually want. Because like it's kind of spread out between all these students, like a good team that actually like assembles these ideas is like really essential.
Right, absolutely, absolutely, awesome, thank you.
Oh, yeah, sure. I think student voices are important, and I think a lot of adults just say that student voices aren't heard and they don't know how to get to them. And I think having student representation on the board is an easy access to student voices. We all have social media. We very easily and quickly see everything that's going on. And seeing that from a student perspective that you probably won't get access from as an adult. And I think being able to have that open and clear communication through social media, like Mr. Billy said, giving that direct line of communication from educators and administrators straight to the students, it really eliminates that gray area where misinformation happens and rumors get spread. So I think having that clear communication will help educate people on New Britain and everything that's going on.
I think I met you 2016, standing at the polls, and you had a lot to say. So I'm really looking forward to it, because that's what we need. It's like open, honest communication, tell me what's going on, and tell me how we can help. You were probably in 8th grade.
I was in 6th grade.
6th grade, yeah, so 6th grade.
I've been helping with the mayoral campaign since like 3rd grade, so.
And we talked a little bit about utilizing the grade level student councils that we have to get, as like a sounding board to get the feedback and then kind of funneling it up to them, essentially.
We'll definitely do like some onboarding, like roles, expectations, what we expect of you when you come to board meetings, right? Like, it can't just be, my teacher gave me too much math homework today. It's got to be like collective, right? Collective. So, there was one more.
Do you want to talk about why you were excited?
Why I was excited to become a student representative was really because I think of myself as a passionate thinker, and being able to have my voice being heard is better than not having any voice being heard. And being able to just allow the voices of students in New Britain High School is truly something that I could really do. And as a person that needs to represent those who can't be represented is something else. So that's what I think, why I was excited.
Do you have your correct, the correct spelling of their names? Because we could do them little nameplates and all that. Can we do that, Tom?
Should be what's on my sheet, should be on the agenda.
Awesome. And then we're thinking probably, we usually don't meet July and August,
Right.
but I definitely want to get with them before,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
We'll have to figure it out.
Yep, yeah, just let me know, we can figure it out. They're very engaged, very
That's
eager to
awesome.
start, so it'll be great.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm excited. I don't think we've had reps since 2018.
Long time. Yeah,
Probably-
it was 2018.
2018.
I think it was my last graduating class.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's been a while. And then we had COVID, we just did what it did, so, I know.
It's 5 years, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
So, any questions or good? All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. All right, item B, District Community Partners, after-school programming. He's like, these are mine. Are you doing a presentation? No.
Hello. Thank you for having us again this evening. I'm Sandra Sanford, Coordinator of Partnership and Engagement in the Britain School District. Tonight we came together I know last month we were here talking about the advisory board, but an important part of our the partnership office is our after-school providers from a 6 through 12 lens. We have a presentation for you this evening, but before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge who is with us today. We have the YWCA, we have OIC, we have Pathway Senderos, we have Parks and Rec, and we have many other listening online as well. The partnership office, I have to, before we begin, we have the purpose for coming together to ensure that the after-school quality program continues. And with a shout out to American Savings Foundation, Maria Sanchez, who's also here, who participates in ensuring that our providers have the resources as well as CSD&B. This would not happen. We have two great manager of programs in the partnership office. Myra is over there, say hello, fantastic, with a lot of the work, the key person, the first person to go to. Thank you for all your work. And we have Daisy Sanchez, I can't see unless I put my sunglasses on, I believe she's with us online, who is also the program manager at New Britain High School, to ensure that there's a straight through line, so when our after-school providers have an opportunity that they want to bring to our students, and a resource so that we can ensure that the continuation happens. So today, I'm not going to talk much, I'm just going to talk about our purpose, and then I'm going to pass it on to our partners who are here for you today. Today we're going to reintroduce some of the district's after-school providers to you all. We're going to emphasize the importance of these partnerships and the shared resources to make these programs best for our students, and we're going to connect throughout the presentation the data and the programs, the outcomes, with the impact of the programs for students' daily lives and their overall development into well-rounded individuals. With that being said, I'm going to step on that side and manage the PowerPoint, and I'm going to ask James Jones to come on up to begin.
Can you get them?
Put the rookie on.
They got us. They got us up in here like sardines.
Good evening, everyone. My name is James Jones. I'm the Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club of New Britain. We serve about 672 youth. We get 267 bused over to the club, and probably average about 5 to 10 per week. Thank you, Smedley and crew, because we're always getting busing requests, and they expedite the process for us. We service 6-year-olds to 18-year-olds, K through 8th grade. We service those youth from 3:30 to 5:30, 6 o'clock. We have dinner, and then we invite our teens over to the club from 5:30 to 8. So we split it up a little bit just because We average about 70 to 90 high schoolers a night, and during the day, there's not enough room for them to come. We provide several programs at the club. We provide Taekwondo 2 days a week with the use of Taekwondo. It's awesome. We have Miss Ashley who does a cooking class. We have a Smart Moves program for boys, and we have a Smart Girls program for girls under a GAS umbrella, paid for by the American Savings Foundation. But that program, the kids get 30 minutes of health, fitness, social, emotional. It's like a block schedule throughout the day. You know, school, Mr. School here. So all our kids circle throughout the club for 30 minutes or 45 minutes, depending on what they're being taught. We have a DJ program. We have DJ Lux from Boston who comes down on Wednesdays. He does a program with our kids. He teaches them how to DJ. We'll be having some dances soon because they're getting their skills down. But we have a DJ program, swim program. Our pool is open 5 days a week and Saturdays. And it's heated during the winter, so everyone's excited that the pool's open all the time now. We just finished a basketball program for all the kids who didn't make the basketball team this year. They wrapped up their season. We got their list from Kurt Reese, and we invited them for a program. So we're just trying to keep our kids active in the community constantly, and you know, we're here for anything that we have. Also, summer programs. Am I on the time? Summer programs. Let me just talk a little about our summer program. Last summer we did extend our hours. We're open from 8 to 4 for our kids instead of the 12 to 5 that they used to do. It caters to our families. Our families need, you know, a longer day. And what we did is we got an innovation grant last summer just for our teams from 5 to 9. We had 243 high schoolers sign up for that program, averaged about 70 to 90 per night. We had 18 different towns play in the summer league, and those kids got a membership also. And they made some great relationships with our kids, and they come to our club. So we're the greater New Britain Boys and Girls Club now, because we didn't just cater to our kids when everything was shut down. We also catered to the other communities. So with that being said, we're here to serve our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have my distance glasses, but I'm Paulette Fox. I think I know everybody because I vote for y'all when it's time for the election. So how's everybody this evening? After school is my concern. James talked about summer. That's a whole different beast. But the after school initiative is critical. And most of you drive by 114 North Street almost every day or at some point as you maneuver around New Britain. We serve 50 middle school youth, 6th grade through 8th grade. Age range, some of them a little old because you know circumstances, 11 to 14. But I say that because it's so important for you to understand that OIC is what? Employment and training. We're preparing the future workforce. So everything that you were talking about, those young people that spoke, that's what we do. But we take those youth that are very difficult to serve, and we want them to come to school every day. So you can't be in an after school program if you don't come to school. And you can read the data. OIC, in the 18 years that we've been running Moving Mountains, if our kids start in Moving Mountains and they go through, my sister over here I'm talking about, they graduate in 4 years on time. And they either go on to college or into the world of work. But it's critical to have the after school busing. Thank you, Nancy, because that other guy we had, that's a long story, but the busing is critical. Y'all laughing because you know it's true. The busing is critical, so I'm here to whatever, if we got to get part-time jobs or I got to cook on the side, you need to keep the busing going, because if you want success, if you want our kids and those kids that are the hardest to serve, they're now called vulnerable kids. Used to be economically disadvantaged, now they're vulnerable. We know that. After school program prepares them to be strong. And with the funding from American Savings, we focus on teen pregnancy prevention, academic enrichment, because they're not coming if you say you're coming for after school to do what you do in school. That don't work, and you guys know that. We've been doing this, and we have research. The YOIC and Parks and Recs were the first programs that were selected
by Yale consultants that work with us on how to do and get outcomes for those the hardest to serve. Our target area was North Oaks. Don't go to school, you're not coming to the summer youth. Our attendance is great. High school program, they get a half credit, thanks to Damon and Nancy. And that's a good thing, because you know they need them credits, especially after the last 18 months. So y'all can go on my website. I'm not gonna talk about summer, because if they're not working, they'll be breaking into people's houses. So we want them to be working and doing something successfully. So again, the data is up there. I think that I've been around for 13 years. I watched a couple of y'all grow up, but we ain't gonna talk about that. And most of you have been involved in OIC programming. We partner. Joey over there partners with us. Everybody tonight, it's a holistic thing. The partnership office is critical. So don't defund that, because we need that. Because if you want the parents to come back, you want to keep them partnerships, because they look like the people we serve it. Thank you, because I can talk all night, and I know my 5 minutes is up. Love you guys. Take care.
Now she's to go after that.
And Nick, but now his successor. You know, it goes beyond out of school time, right? We now partner with them during the school day because they do have a recipe that works with our at-risk youth, right? So it's well beyond just 2 hours after school program. It's critical to the success of every one of our kids who need to go through this. That's what helps them move forward. So anyway, that was my plug.
Thanks, Paulette. Going after you is always a good time. Good evening, everyone. My name is Megan Dowling. I work with the New Britain Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Department. I am the Assistant After School Program Coordinator. I work very closely with our middle school after school program, but tonight I'll be talking about both our middle and elementary school program. So our middle school after school program is called the Exercise the Right Choice After School Program. It's been around since the very early 90s. The elementary school program is called the Every Kid Counts Elementary After School Program, and that's been around for about 20 years. These programs are free of charge to anyone who goes to the 10 elementary schools we're in and the 2 middle schools that we're in, which is Pulaski and Slade. We are grant funded, through the American Savings Foundation, the State Department of Education, 21st Century Learning Center grants, CDBG, extended school hours grants as well. Currently, we are serving about 500 kids at all 12 locations. It's been a rough year. Getting them back into the swing of things has been a challenge, but we're there. Our focus is to provide academic support, just like my colleagues here in the other programs, enrichment activities, wellness opportunities, and family engagement opportunities. So you were at one of our family events with Roots with Miss Rita. We were so happy to bring back our family events. That was the first one we've done since COVID started, so it was really exciting to bring our families back into our programs and connect with them. So thank you for coming and supporting us. Our program runs September through May, so the end of September to the end of May. We follow the school calendar, so we're in program on full days of school. We also have wonderful bus transportation that brings our kids home every single day, thanks to the Board of Education. So our kids wouldn't be able to come to program if they didn't have transportation home. So yes, let's echo how important that is. What else? Just so you guys know, we have approximately right now about 50 staff who are working for us. Many of those staff actually are New Britain High School students. We go into the cafeteria lunch waves, we go into child development, and we promote hard to get these kids from the high school working in our after-school programs. So it would be foolish of me not to say it. We are still hiring for the after-school program. And we have upcoming our summer jobs, summer camps, lifeguarding, rec attendance, all that is happening right now. So if you know young people who want to work, don't wait till June. Right now is when you apply for summer jobs. That's pretty much it. That's in a nutshell our after-school programs. We're excited to just be here to inform you of our after-school programs. Thank you for allowing us this time to do that.
I just
just want to say for the after-school program, my granddaughter has been in for the 3 years she's been at Slade. And when you didn't start this year because you had problems, she was really freaking out about it. But the good thing about it is both granddaughters, once they got to the high school, they knew some of the students because they had been in the after-school program and those students had been there with them. So it helped them transition to the high school by knowing some people already. So it's really wonderful program. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Olga Frito. I am a part of the YWCA New Britain, representing our youth development and our child care, so I'm very happy to be here. Thank you all for this opportunity. I want to start off by talking about the YWCA's child care. Our child care served as a remote learning location during COVID quarantine in partnership with the school district, and we were able to provide child care nutrition, providing those healthy snacks. And as we know, a lot of kids depend on that breakfast and those snacks, and also providing that stimulating environment that a lot of kids were missing by not being able to be in school. We also were able to serve over 250 students and continue to raise that. I do want to mention again, as my colleagues with the buses, over 85% of these kids rely on the buses. And not only our child care, but also our youth development, which is our middle and high school programs. Our middle and high school programs run in Pulaski and Slade. And our middle and high school programs are a bridge from the child care, and we focus on women empowerment and also facing those inequities faced on. We are challenging our students to break barriers, break through glass ceilings, and then we also teach them those life skills that they need of financial literacy, the cooking classes, and also those career competencies. We also partner with Roots, where Miss Rita teaches us how to make sweet potato pancakes. If you've never had it, I definitely recommend. I had to serve as an example for the kids, and they were like, Miss Olga, try it. And I was like, okay. And it was delicious. The students that we provide for, especially our middle school and high school students, they are incredible young women. These are young women that often people look past. We are encouraging and empowering them to continue and make a way for themselves in the city. If you don't know, the YWCA also holds a women leadership luncheon coming up in May, if you all want to attend. And we are raising these young women to be those women that will be honored in those leadership luncheons as they become adults and professionals. We help them find their path to college and career readiness. And we have a great bunch of seniors that just got accepted to CCSU, and some of them have chosen different trade schools, and we are encouraging different pathways. Some of our students have been with us since middle school. One particular student, JD, said she would never have even dreamed of joining and being a leader in the musicals in JROTC if it had not been for Strive and House of Teens. And now her younger sister is in 6th grade, just begun Strive with us. So this really is a family engagement opportunity. And again, as we mentioned, over 85% of our families do rely on the busing. It is repeated. However, this is lifting a burden off of families and also providing the students with the opportunity to be engaged that they would not be if we didn't have this as an opportunity. So we thank you for your support, and we hope that you'll stop by sometime. Thank you very much.
Hi, good evening. My name is Heather Mills, and I'm here representing the Pathways Sendero Center. This is my friend Diego here, who is a former participant of the Pathways Sendero Center. Pathways Senderos, for those of you that are not familiar, I like to think a small but mighty program here in New Britain. We serve middle school and high school youth. They start our program in 6th grade, and we are a 7-year intervention. So we have them until high school graduation, which is our ultimate goal for them, is to graduate high school pregnancy free. We have boys and girls in the program because we are a prevention program. We provide long-term, comprehensive, holistic services. We create a parallel family structure. So we serve as a home away from home for our students. Some of our most recent statistics show that 100% of our students over time graduate high school on time. 91% of our graduates enroll in some form of post-secondary education. 31% of our graduates have a college degree or certificate, and 97% of our graduates who can work are currently employed. And additionally, our participants are less likely to take drugs or engage in violence compared to national and state data. We are independently evaluated through our state funding that we receive, so these are all statistics that you can find online. But I think because of the nature of our program and how we work, the best way to really hear about it and experience it is through a life experience. So I'm going to let Diego speak a little bit about his experience at Pathways.
Hi everyone, I'm Diego Peralta. Heather, you want to stay with me?
Yeah.
So, my name is Diego Peralta. I am a former Pathways graduate. So when I'm thinking of what Pathways is, it's hard to kind of sum them up. So I just kind of put it together into structure, opportunity, support, and guidance. So as a raised, what do we call it? New Britainer, right? That's what we call it. So I was raised here. I got my bachelor's at CCSU. I got my master's at CCSU, and now I currently work at CMHA, so right across the street. So that's like kind of the trending topic that I come across, whether it's, you know, young children, adolescents, and adults. It's just that necessity for structure, opportunity, guidance, and support. Everything that I've been able to gain from Pathways. So Pathways, I am an extension of Pathways, and I'm just here. You know, Paulette was saying some statistics, Mr. Jones was saying some statistics, you know, Parks and Rec, YWCA, Pathways, I am that statistic standing right here in front of you. What, graduate, job, you know, serving the community, I'm involved into the community, and it's just important for you all to hear, you know, from someone that's actually living this life, and I wouldn't be here without Pathways. Pathways is my family. Pathways is that extension that, coming from a single mother home, I was able to gain all those things, you know. So it's just really something that Nick would always mention, you know, that unity, you know, coming together and just continuing to build off of that. And I just wanted, you know, just hearing everybody say, you know, their small share. I know we're limited on time. It's just, you know, coming together and, you know, continuing to fund these after school programs that, you know, eventually lead to people like myself to continue working in our community as well. So that's my share.
I just have to say to you that I am, my heart is just, and I'm a crier too, so I'm gonna make sure that I try to keep it in.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it's a Latina thing, that we just cry for everything. So I was actually in the original program under Roseanne Billadu.
Oh.
So, you know, years and years ago when dinosaurs were still in the brain. So I'm just saying that it is actually very encouraging because I too graduated from, thanks to Roseanne's efforts, graduated from CCSU. And, you know, she encouraged us to think outside of the box and to keep rooted in our community and keep helping. And it was just, it's cute because it's almost like saying like your next generation.
Yeah.
So they were doing it right, and this is just, it's phenomenal. I just can't tell you enough because I remember being a 6th grader and trying to just kind of find that balance, and it was just amazing. It was an amazing experience, and if any kid can just go through it too. So I am just so happy for you. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you.
And Heather, it's good to see you here. I remember my days in Pathways when Heather was just hired.
Yes.
Good evening, I'm Maria Sanchez with the American Savings Foundation. I was not on the agenda, but I figured I could if that's okay.
You're always
Promise I won't take long. So I'm the Director of Community Investment, and I just wanted to share with you all the things that you just heard did not happen by themselves. They happened with a lot of work over 17 years of coming together, making the sausage, right? And it was always perfect, but we all came together and we just continued at that. I also wanted to share with you that the foundation has been supporting these programs for the past 17 years at a total of $17 million. And so and on top of that, we also provide scholarships for these students who go through the after-school programs. It's actually one of our criteria that we do individually. And so I wanted to mention this to you because I also need to take this moment to say thank you to Nancy. And I'll tell you why. So in the 17 years, as I mentioned in the beginning, it was a rocky road to work with the school district to kind of understand the landscape of after school, the importance of us coming together for the benefit of students, and that was very difficult. And so Nancy was one who embraced it, listened to us, and rolled up her sleeves and said, how are we going to do this better? Because we can't do it alone. After school people can't do it alone. A foundation can't do it alone, even with $17 million, right? It's just we have to do it together. I also present national conferences, and I'm a national endorser for after school, so I travel the country. Nancy has won an award for this nationally and put New Britain on the map. And when they said to me, what has been the secret sauce? You know, what's made other communities across the country, what's been the secret sauce? And I say, it's the partnerships, the willingness to come together and have honest conversation of what it takes to get to that next level and keep working on it. But also, I know you've heard it before from all of the others, but Nancy has been the only one who's paid for busing.
Amen.
In the state of Connecticut.
Okay, when I say one thing though, I want you all to know, we have saved millions over the last few years because we had a proper bid process, right? And that's part of it, right? We got so much more for less because of what we did and we impacted kids. So those kinds of things really, really matter. It's making, you know,
but the willingness to do it, the change is also very important, right? And it takes, you know, I'm a Latina too. It takes a little bit of cojones, you know, to do that. And but the proof is in the pudding. And so I just wanted to take a moment to share with you because it would really be a shame for New Britain that with the next superintendent, these strides have not continued, or that we continue to that. And so I hope you all keep that in mind when things are going to shift, as we all expect it to. I mean, not everything's going to stay the same, but that the importance of where the rubber hits the road for our kids continue to be the thread that influences your decisions. So thank you. And I'm sorry
What better way to wrap it up? So if there's, thank you, Maria, if there's any questions. I do have like
one question. So like for the YWCA, Boys and Girls Club, like typically you have to have a membership to join, but is that the case for after school programs? No, right? It's like summer programs and all that. So after school programs at the Boys and Girls Club is...
No, our kids pay a membership fee at the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay,
so
okay.
Middle school and elementary, it's $150 for the school year, which equates to 83 cents a day.
Yep.
Which covers their insurance pretty much. And it covers their insurance because everyone has to be insured. So
yep.
we chase funds to operate, and those funds cover the insurance.
Okay. But so for the Boys and Girls Club, we just pay for the busing, not the program. Well, there have been times we scholarship, I'm not gonna say that doesn't
yeah. No doubt.
You know, I mean, if kids need it, we do it. And the other thing I wanted to say, and I think I've just lost my train of thought, thank you, Maria, was, when you asked about who or how, we have been very strategic over the last 6 years. You know, where our power school, we show the students who are chronically absent. We are targeted with the kids that are invited to some of the programs. You know, they're hand-picked, they're hand-selected. We make sure that we have to put extra love in getting them there. That comes from all of you guys by making those constant phone calls, our FSLs in the summer, by hooking them up, because they're not the easiest ones to bring to the table. These are a lot of our kids who haven't found what hooks them into, you know, being part of something. So that goes with a lot of effort, right? A lot of meetings, a lot of who's got this one, and making sure that we're hugging all the right kids. You know, and again, my goal has always been, I mean, and our theory was, if we extend their day, we extend their year, we see results. We see results during the school day. We see chronic absence reduce by, you know, to Paulette's point, you're not coming to program if you're not coming to school. Right. You know, but it's more than that. It's about the relationships. And I'm very proud of my administrators, I have to say. It's taken time, right? I remember my first year, I took them all on field trips during summer programming. I made them come and watch to see what it was, because administrators didn't typically get involved with anything programming. Now we have some admins who want to put more and more and more, and I'm looking at one in the back. I'm gonna have 19 more programs, but that's a good problem to have, right? And to their point, structure is always what matters, right? Process and structure, and so we have to be sure that we keep sacred the positions that are here, because they are the doorway to bridging for our kids. All right, now I'm done. Just thank you to all of you for being here, not just for our students, but sharing what we do. We can do it without it, for sure. Okay. Thank you.
All right, flipped my agenda, sorry. So item C, NBHS summons data 2021-2022. I'm such a high. No, but who does this agenda? Yeah, Kristen, we're gonna do it. We gotta talk about this agenda. You can't go over my eye to alone.
Well, no, it's our reality, right?
We can start with the low.
Well, but that just shows the importance of our partnerships. You'll see why, right?
Yes.
Getting kids to connect.
Yep. They're setting up the thing. Okay. Great. Wait, our student reps left. They're gonna have to understand they need to stay for.
I love it. They already got their candy. What do you want?
I know, like, where did they go?
He's candy in a ring. They gotta go take pictures.
No, he's still behind the.
Oh, he's one still here? He's the top one? Okay.
Am I ready to begin? Okay. All right, so good evening, everyone. We're here today to review the summons data that has been collected for the 2021-22 school year. You can move on to the first slide, please, if you will, Kristen. Tonight we're also going to be looking at some of the historical data as it compares to the data this year. But with regard to the data that has been collected this year, I want to first point out that the data for the 2021-22 school year represents the summons that were issued for the first semester, right? So from September until the very end of January. I believe our second semester started on February 1st. The principal of New Britain High School, Principal Pierce, he received the names of all the students that received the summons from the New Britain Police Department. He used one of his 092 aspirants to then pull the information from PowerSchool about their ID, about their race and ethnicity, whether or not they receive special education services, if they receive ELD services, as well as students with a 504. Now, of all of the students that did receive a summons for the first half of this school year, I've also shared with you sort of their current school placement as we speak. So just under 50% of them have been placed in other school settings, smaller school settings. Brookside Satellite Careers Academy. There are 3 out-of-district schools that the 11% are now attending. There's a 2% that went to New Britain Transition Center, and then the remaining 56% continue to be in school at New Britain High School. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this next slide is really looking at the data, sort of disaggregated by grade. And I do want to just point out a couple of things about the data. The 18-19 school year was really our last sort of regular school year, okay? If you recall, 2019 through 2020, that was our year of school closure. So that data in that column actually represents the summons that were issued between September and March 13th of 2020. There weren't any summons issued on school grounds during last school year, the 2020-21 school year. And then that final column, again, as I said, is really just the first semester. A couple of things that I just want to point out, bring to your attention. 9th grade consistently seems to be the grade where there is the greatest number of summons, which we have noted and is a concern for us. And then 11th grade is always the second sort of year in grade level that is sort of second place when it comes to the number of summons that are issued. Okay, I would also like to point out, that while the 21-22 school year is only the first half of the year, it has exceeded the total number for the 18-19 school year, again, which was our, that's the other normal school year in the collection. Okay. Next slide, please. Yeah. Okay. Now we are looking at the this year's data disaggregated by race and ethnicity. And so again, that first column of data is fall semester data, the number and percent of summons that were issued when we break it down by race and ethnicity. And that final column it represents the percentage of the total enrollment for each racial and ethnic group, okay? And so what I'd like to point out here is that for this school year, there is overrepresentation of our Hispanic and Latino students in the summons data. Okay, next slide. Yeah. All right, and so this next slide is really looking at the data broken down by race and ethnicity over time. And what we find here is that, again, our Hispanic students have always been overrepresented. Again, an explanation of those columns. Last year, the 2020-21 school year is when we really started to take a close look at the data and really cull through and disaggregate it by grade, by race, by eligibility. And so you'll see in that third column of data, that was our percentage of by race and ethnicity of the total population, right? And then the last column, again, is looking at the percentage of total enrollment by race and ethnicity for this school year. And then the other three columns would be, so 18, 19, 19, 20, and 2021, that represents the number and percentage by race and ethnicity of all of the summons that were issued. Okay. For African, Black, or African American, you'll see that there was overrepresentation in the 18-19 and 19-20 school year. However, this school year, that is not the case. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. And then this slide is really looking at eligibility. Oh dear, I'm sorry. And so we're looking at students with disability. I'm sorry, I'm just having a little technical difficulty here. I can't even see here we go. Better view here. So again, we're still finding that students with disabilities are overrepresented in our summons data. That continues to be the case. You know, again, looking at our percent of total enrollment in 2020, 2021, we had 20.47% students with an IEP, 17.52% of students who receive ELD services. And again, you're seeing that overrepresentation for students with disabilities in the 18-19 and the 19-20 school year. You also see that overrepresentation this school year as well. This school year, currently, we have 21.6% of students with disabilities, and yet they make up 53.3% of the summons that were issued. And then again, with our English language learners, I believe in 18-19, actually, it was the 19-20 school year where we're seeing overrepresentation of our English language learners, but we are not finding that in the 18-19 or the current school year for our students who are receiving English as a second language services. Okay. And then the final slide, again, where we're just really looking at some of the strategies that we've employed to try to support this population of students who are receiving summons, and really thinking about some of our next steps. All right, so this year, the New Britain Police Department has been very involved with our matters involving discipline with students. You know, there's been a lot of communication between the police chief and our administrative team with regard to incidents that occur in the school, and guidance from the police department with regard to when you know, a building administrator would call the police department to get them involved, depending on the offense. This year, there's also been a concerted effort to bring CMHA to the table for all expulsion hearings. And then every time there is a stipulated agreement in lieu of an expulsion, CMHA services are written into that stipulated agreement. So again, we've really been able to partner with them and utilize those services from CMHA in a variety of ways. And again, you know, they're also supporting us with the students who are either being expelled or, you know, agreeing to, you know, to that stipulated agreement. One of our associate principals, actually, Miss Carrie Lynn Major, she's going to be the 9th grade associate principal next year, and she's actually planning right now on hosting an extra day for freshmen to really help orient them and get them acclimated into the high school, a day when no other classmen will be there, just the freshmen, so that, you know, they can spend time with the students. We can start to build those relationships with students, as well as sort of get them acclimated to their schedule and where their classes are. And I know that she's already started having meetings or have some scheduled meetings that will be occurring regularly for the remainder of this school year. Again, as a way to kind of usher them in, the freshmen in, early, and get them acclimated and get them feeling comfortable about the school environment and who those adults are that they will be working with as freshmen next school year. And we know that this is important. There's a lot of research that tells us the importance of students being connected, freshman students being connected to an adult in the building. You know, when students are not connected to the adults, or they don't feel a part of that environment as freshmen, there's a likelihood that they will drop out, you know, that they will be involved in criminal activity. And so again, this strategy would be an awesome strategy, again, to get those kids, get a jump start on getting students connected to their school community. We also are, I learned that, you know, we were considering this idea of having the middle school and the high school administrators to have these conversations, particularly about students who might be at risk of not doing well their freshman year due to grades in middle school, maybe the number of behavioral incidents that they have in middle school, or attendance issues, high absenteeism. And so there actually has, I think, started, the communication has already started, I should say, between Carrie Lynn and the middle school principals, administrators, to start to identify these students and think about activities that we can engage them in order to increase their likelihood of success as they transition from middle school into high school. Okay. Any questions?
I did have a question, but I actually just emailed you my question because it requires getting a little bit more data behind the scenes.
Okay.
And it was on the stipulated agreement because you did mention that CMHA, because I did see when the contract came through for CMHA that they're able to, we're doing referrals to them, but I was curious about the connection between you're putting it in the stipulation agreement and them being able to kind of meet that need. So I'm just trying to kind of get an idea. Don't answer now, just saying whenever you
So I can speak to, so I'll speak to one part and then Mark can kind of talk about the stipulated agreements. With that referral piece, I know that CMHA, they're providing a variety of services to us in schools, and so the referrals are also happening when we're having re-entry meetings. So if kids are coming back from suspension, or if kids are coming back from juvenile detention, any reason that they would have been sort of excluded or not in the school community, when we're entering, having them re-enter into our buildings, CMHA has been at the table at many of those meetings in order to offer services, because as we get to sort of the root cause of why students are not coming to school or have been suspended from school, often those services that CMHA provide can be a help to kind of support those students get on the right track. And then I know you had some expulsion data.
Sure. So, a lot of the numbers you just heard, unfortunately, many of those people end up at expulsion hearings. They're recommended to the superintendent. So just to give you an idea, we've had 62 to this date, 62 either full expulsions or stipulated agreements. That is more than the last 3 years combined.
6 years.
Oh, yeah. And if you look at how many kids we've actually expelled, though, I think we're maybe at 9 or 10 actual expulsions. We recently inherited a student from Craig who's a New Britain resident who was recently expelled for something, and so they're going to come on board with us. But of those 62, whether they're expulsions or stipulated agreements, 58% of those are either dealing with drugs or weapons or a felony in the community. Okay, the remainder 20-something or so, fighting, those kinds of things. But most of it are very serious, and by law, we have to go to a full expulsion hearing. If it's dealing with drugs, distribution. If I give you a joint or marijuana, something, that requires an expulsion. Weapons, certain sizes of knives require to go for expulsion. We've had Chinese stars, we've had kids coming in, a lot of kids with knives. Of 22, I think maybe 15 or 16 were actual knives. We've had BB guns, so we're required to go to expulsions. But we've really been able to provide these students with support. Most of the students have been put in other placements, given additional supports. And so back to that clinical piece, as part of the stipulated agreement, but even the kids who are expelled, we introduced them to those services. Not all of them continue for a year, but we may, depending on what the need is, we may require them to have an initial. The families are involved. The families are very appreciative of that, by the way. And then, they take it from there. Maybe it's once a month, maybe it's once a week. It just kind of depends on the individual situation. But it's been quite successful.
And we do have some of our sites where they actually come to the site, right? It's just removing the barriers for the students and they can have access like right there. And of the 8 or 9 that we have expelled, we have them off-site and we still are taking care, right? I mean, because there's laws now protecting students who are at risk.
Right.
And so we still are able to, and I think that's some of our greatest work this year, right? But it's been working through every single one of these expulsion hearings and sitting and just, And again, for future, we want to really make sure that, maybe a position down the pike that just goes and makes sure that all of those kids are faring well in the sites that they're at, right? Because we don't think it's magical that it's going to end then, right? You've got to establish habits, you've got to follow up, you've got to be, that parent or grandparent or whoever it is that still shows them the love that they need to keep going. That's important.
And I would like to also point out that our students who have IEPs that are either at our middle school or high school site are receiving services from a certified special education teacher.
Yes. And we can thank Mr. Jones for opening up his facilities during the day when it's quiet.
I was just saying, I love those kids.
I know. Yep.
Miss Santana.
So circling back to my original question, which is why I was just saying that it would be totally okay if it came in the form of an email as a reply, just looking at data for when you put it into their documentation for whatever, they're transitioning to a different facility or a different type of educational setting, but that you are still, there is some intervention, right? It's not rising to that level, but when it does, you still have it put into their documentation. And I just wanted to make sure because I just want to get the full picture. You're writing it into the documentation and that they're actually accessing those services or whatever feedback you're getting from CMHA. And that's what I'm saying, where it's, just kind of leaving it open as far as, but I put my question in email, so it's.
And I will point out, there have been instances where families are using other providers.
Yeah.
And that's fine, and we go with those as well. So really we want to make sure that they're getting that support, whether it's from CMHA or Wheeler or whoever, that's occurring.
But now when you're writing, just out of curiosity, because again, through my spec ed lens, when you're writing this in the documentation, you're putting it in for CMHA because that's who you contractually have an obligation to. But if, let's say, they're going to Klingberg, are you putting it in the documentation that they can access it through whoever else, or they need to go through CMHA first?
No, they don't need,
Just curious.
They have
no, they can go to others.
They can, so that's part of the stipulation, you can go to anybody, but we're recommending you to go to CMHA.
Well, not even that, we're offering you CMHA, but some families will say, well, we already have this set up, cool, then you stay with that, you don't need the CMHA. So it's and I think I'd like to also say to Donna's point, we had a long discussion today at Cabinet about, none of us like to see numbers where there's overrepresentation, that's just, it's not a good, so what needs to be done, those kinds of things, and it's not a simple solution, I wished it were. But I do think as a board, and again, I feel like I'm saying things because I won't be here next year, but you really need to look at when we talk about that strategic planning citywide, what we know in education, what we know in life is good relationships are what yield positive outcomes for kids. They just do. It's the number one thing, right? Having a good relationship. So we struggle with the size of New Britain High School. And we could say, well, it's 1,000 less than it was 15 years ago. Yep, that's true. But there are 2,400 students. And we already know in 8th grade, some of those students who are going to really struggle when they get there. We can support them when they walk through the doors at New Britain High, but they're still in a sea of 2,399 other students who need it too. And so when you think about what does the city need, we need to look at, I'm not saying Hartford does it right or Craig does it right, but they'll find a building, they'll say, we're gonna create a high school out of that, but it's gonna require the board support in terms of staffing and doing those things that we know. We don't have the same struggles at elementary. Part of it's they haven't hit puberty. Part of it's life hasn't really gotten them yet, But how can we look as a city to say, what other ways can we do this? Because we're struggling.
And I think one other piece.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
No, if you remember last week at the facilities meeting, I mentioned the need to do an audit of our buildings, our usage, and I would want to actually, that was the impetus for it, is because I've heard people say, oh, that high school, he says, it's got thousands, let's have it for it. That's still 2,400 kids. I love subbing at the high school, but I hated the halls because I'm a big guy. There were times I got knocked over because the crowd is so crowded there. That high school is too large and it's too out of date. I will go on record now, we need to look at possibly splitting that high school up.
Is Mr. Billy on, because he hates whenever I say that, but I would
go on record.
When I say that.
I've argued
I
next
agree.
door about it, but we need to go on record, we need to start looking down the road, the next 10 years, having 2 high schools.
Well, and looking at, currently what Roosevelt is, and while it's great to have, our pre-Ks there, it's really not the best place for little ones to, they could fit in the lockers that are in the hallways, right? So I think that's gotta be on the table for discussion, and how can you maybe create a larger satellite, right? And that doesn't have to be just for overaged. Why do we wait until they're overaged and undercredited? Why don't we grab them post 8th grade when we know that they are gonna be those potentials, right? So there's a lot of planning that has to happen. We are moving slowly with that preschool. I was always hoping that I would have that done. But we've got the money, but thinking about that preschool and making up and freeing space at Roosevelt Middle, because it's a facility that's already in existence, what can we do with it, right? How can we look at expanding or that kind of thing? But it's gonna require shifting of staff, it's gonna require a lot of thinking of what goes to get,
Why, did you have another one? I'm just saying.
No. Yeah, it's Annie and.
It's Annie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness.
You're up.
Yeah, no, two things. I was gonna say that, the kids that are involved with the courts, one of the things that used to be very aggravating is when they send those kids back to school, they just tell them to go back to school, and then you get them and they're angry at you that they have to be there. And so they show up because the court says to be there, but then the court doesn't do anything else. We don't know who the probation officer is, and then you try to call and find out. So there needs to be, it's not just the school's problem, it's the city's problem. And the police department should be involved. If you're involved, then you need to help us. You can't just send that group of kids back, because they're very difficult. That's why they're involved with you. And don't send them back. The student would say to me when he showed up, he wants to come and put his head down. I said, he go, every time I come in here, you expect me to do something. I go, you're right.
I hear that all day.
Otherwise, go back to jail, But you're not gonna come and take a nap. So, and then the other piece I was gonna suggest, maybe if, I don't know if they can do this in gym classes, but meditation and yoga might be a good thing for some of these kids, because they have such chaotic worlds. They need a way to, calm things down in their heads, So that might be something that they can do in gym classes, or, a special period, homing period or something.
First thing in the morning.
Yeah, to start the day off. That's it.
All right, are we good?
I can't ask any more questions.
Yeah, you had to.
You
We're
used
good.
up all of yours.
Yes, I
You have more?
No, I was just, to Nancy's point, I was just going to say, I know that since I started on the board, which officially is a year ago, I have asked for audit and then for building, in that sense of like, where are we on space? If that's a facilities audit, then that's what it's called. But it's just a matter, because I can't visualize shifting people and services and everything else without a full audit. And I'm just saying that's my own mechanical brain. I have to be able to see it. So for as many times as we could have a conversation about it, it's important to be able to have the data to back it up, and that's why since day one I hit the ground running asking for that, because I need to be able to see that. I mean, I'm not looking for, I can read blueprints, but I'm not asking for those, I'm just looking for the audit. Anyway, and to your point, I actually have kids with a trauma base, and so the minute you say court, I'm like, I used to say that on the court side. On the court side, what we really need is a good relationship as far as the teachers letting us know. So if you've got kids on your radar, then just make sure that we all have a good conversation. So that way the courts are sending them back with reasonable expectations, not just, we'll go back. That's just okay. There you go.
Thank you for that. All right, that was item C. I think we have consent. Is there any items you want to take off of consent? I have item C to take off.
I have item G.
Item G. Anything else? Tony's. The Tony's, no. Perfect.
I asked him, he said no.
All right, so item C.
You said C is off?
C, yes. All right, I will entertain a motion to approve accept the personnel transactions. I don't know if I'm gonna do this right.
Everything except the last page?
I don't know if I'm gonna do it right.
No, you said it right.
You're trying to take one item off.
Yep, I took item C off.
Okay.
Wait, there was another one that you wanted.
Item G, item C and G.
G golf, okay.
C and G, so I'm asking for a motion to accept the report of personnel transactions.
Motion to accept the report of personnel
Second.
transactions.
All right, so we do have a administrative appointment on personnel transactions.
So I say motion to approve?
Can I have a motion to approve
Yes.
Donna Swayze as school principal at New Britain Transitional Center?
Motion. Second.
All right,
I was saying it.
all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, Miss Swayze, would you like to come up?
Every computer.
No more reports.
I know, right? After discussing something.
My prepared speech. So I want to take a moment just to express my sincere appreciation for being selected as the principal of TC. You know, I have experience working at the state level, and with my 10 years of district level administrative experience, I also have 13 years of being a special education teacher, 8 of which I spent at Roosevelt Middle School. So New Britain does hold a very dear place in my heart. I worked as a teacher longer here than I did at my hometown, Bloomfield, which is where I first became a teacher. And so I am very confident that all of my years of professional experience really have prepared me to be the principal of the New Britain Transition Center. And as I reflect on my career, I've always been an advocate for students with disabilities, and I will continue to be that voice for the students and the families at the New Britain Transition Center. It's something that I take very seriously, and people know they've had to kind of acquire the taste for Donna Swayze. I know I can come off pretty strong when it comes to advocating for students. I've been on a bit of a communication tour, really just getting the word out to all of my team members in the schools, and really have received a lot of well wishes and compliments. And I do look forward to serving the children and families as well as the staff at the New Britain Transition Center in my new role. And really the intent is to have, a positive impact on the students and the families that are served at the New Britain Transition Center. So thank you.
You don't have, no, you don't have,
Yeah.
All right.
We'll do it virtually tomorrow on the screen, Sana.
All right, so item G, academics, accept a donation from the State of Connecticut Department of Agriculture for the Smith School Garden Expansion Project. You have a motion?
Motion.
You have a second?
Second.
I just need to abstain from this vote because I'm on the advisory committee that oversees this program at the Department of Agriculture. I do want to say that it was an AmeriCorps member in the food corps program that did apply for this grant, and the state approved it, so I just want to congratulate her. She's an AmeriCorps member at Smith Elementary School.
Very cool. All right, anybody else? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstained. All right. So consent we don't vote on, correct. Just passed. All right, so on to new business. Operations, approved bid waiver to award New York Security Solution. Approved bid award to New York Security Solutions for installation of replacement access control system in the amount of $509,461.70. I need a motion
I'll move.
and a second.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Smedley is handing out.
Is this a discussion?
This is an Excel spreadsheet of the bids.
This is 6A.
We already got a.
Yeah, we have that, right?
Well, the tree already died, so we're just kind of.
Oh, yeah. So, does anybody have any questions
Well, I did want to say that I reviewed this, in finance, we reviewed the packet of bids, and we wanted to have questions on it. The reason we put it on the regular agenda is we actually wanted to see the bids that came forward. And like for 3 bidders, but one was disqualified because it came in too late. And one question that we had in finance is why the big discrepancy in the 2 bids? I spoke with both Mr. Ortiz and Mr. Smedley over the weekend. They both gave a reasonable explanation of what you're seeing from the second bid from NSC does not cover a lot of stuff that New York is providing.
Maybe you could share the reasonable explanation, because like when you bid, the bid should be pretty...
Apples to apples.
It should be apples to apples, because we did this back in November. Or December. And here we are, we probably could have been work in action, because I think we're in the same...
So back in December, I believe it was more the camera system, not the batch system. This is new. However, there were 2 things, and Mr. Kane, thank you for bringing that up, because there's 2 things that we're talking about here. One is about 2 bids, and normally we have 3 bids. And then the other one is the significant discrepancy in terms of the baseline totals at the end. So bringing that to my attention, what I did was I kind of looked a little bit more deeply as to kind of why that is. So New York NYSS, right, their price of the very first line item is $209,777.40, and NYS price is $164,708. Now I have a little reason why that is. Part of this line item is about replacement of the electronics. And what they were trying to do is keep the existing batch swipe systems, and they'll do everything else. And some of the wiring will also stay the same as opposed to new. So the question then begs, well, what would it cost? What price would it be if they replaced them like NYSS, which was what the bid was supposed to be, not keeping the existing one. So already there it's discrepant. The other thing too, originally what they have for the at the very bottom, you'll notice that their baseline price was for NYSS was $509,000, and in NSC had $254,000. What they didn't include was the 2 3-year service agreement, nor their Phoenix PE infrastructure estimate, which is an additional. It added up to $367,000. So those are the 2 numbers that should be on the baseline. So when you look at it, look at the bid forms initially, you can tell that there is a large discrepancy from 254 when the price really should be 367. Just the way it looks, they didn't do the process really right and didn't embed it in that. So it looks like it's that much of a difference when in reality it is only $141,000 difference. In addition to that, with no replacements, that first line item, no replacement of the new existing batch swipes, I don't know what that cost would be in addition to what they have here. So in the future, what I know on our side we need to do better is give you an exact apples to apples comparison, and that's something that I'm learning through the process. I've already spoken to Smedley and Rebecca about it, and moving forward, it's going to be more apples to apples and not discrepant the way this looked. In addition to our normal 3 bids and only 2 bids, just want to walk you through the process really quickly. March 7th and 8th, in the Hartford Current, we put in, there were 6 vendors that went through that advertisement. On March 14th, there was a walkthrough, mandatory walkthrough as part of our bidding process. March 25th by noon, only 2 companies submitted the bids by the deadline, and that was NYSS and also NCS, which is the 2 bids that you see in front of you. The third closest one came at 2 p.m., and they cannot be publicly involved in the process and are disqualified because 12 o'clock was a deadline, 2 o'clock is unacceptable. So that's why there was only 2 bids versus the 3 bids, and that's what was in question. Does anybody have any questions about that?
I don't know if this is going to sound like a hard ask, but where's I'm not used to the one sheet because I'm usually used to the full bid paper.
It's in the packet.
In the packet?
Yes.
Because this is all I got.
That's, yeah, just now was so that you can see the comparison, so that you know that the 2 hard number baseline they were kind of, the large discrepancy in terms of the numbers is because of how they put it in the bid form, and it wasn't exactly kind of apples to apples. So I just wanted you to see the comparisons between both so that you can tell why the original baseline looked like 509,000 versus 254,000 when it should really be 509,000 and 367,000.
This was a result of my contacting him over the weekend about why the big difference and why they're doing it too. I emailed Saturday afternoon, and within 12 hours I had this.
And I thank you for that, because if you had some misunderstandings, I think it was appropriate to bring it to the board as a whole, so that you can see why that discrepancy is. But the bottom line is NSC just really didn't follow that bid process the way, or the bid form, fill in that information the way it should have been. And
at the end of the day, at the end of the day, do you have, back in December, I think the count, and I may make this number up, the badge failures per day were like 470, something like that. Is that, did I make that number up?
That might be pretty high. I don't know if those numbers were that high, but bottom line is, by February, they're no longer with us anymore, the company. So we are right now, who's fixing the badges from time to time would be either Smedley or Jesse, who's doing that process, because we don't have a current vendor right now. So there's a sense of urgency to try to get this off the ground.
Okay, thank you. Are there other questions? Tony?
This is beyond the scope of the bid, but I don't know if anyone could speak to it. Was there a reason that we went with continuing badge swipes versus biometrics that some districts have moved to?
Yes,
just curious.
Absolutely. So one of the differences between New York Security Solutions and NSC's bid, first of all, is New York Security Solutions is going to provide us with the new smart readers, which will allow for NAF and down the road biometrics. We can, if we wanted to do the thumbprint or whatever we wanted to do for access. But with the new smart readers that NYSS is going to provide, we'll be able to issue credentials to like administrators on your phone, so you can just tap your phone at the door, or even temporary credentials to students on their phones as well if they wanted to be involved with that. So it'll accept a variety of different card types and credential types.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Down to the wire. I'm gonna. Did you? Oh, you're saying by somebody. Sorry. I just saw your hand up. All right. So.
Did I raise my hand? Oh.
No. Miss
That's like just the one time I didn't.
All right. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. 1. All right. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Item B. Accept a motion from Finance, approve bid waiver for laptops for newly hired staff members at Smalley Elementary School in the amount of $8,400.
I move to accept.
A second?
Second.
Discussion. Is there any questions?
I will make a comment that the reason we didn't put this on the consent for B and C is it was questionable why we were doing bid waivers, and since then I've spoken with Mr. Prokop, and he explained that the reason is that the computers that we're getting can only be gone from one source, and then nobody else was available. He went over that process very thoroughly.
Okay. Thank you, John.
What's the limit for our bid requiring?
7,500, 7,500.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? All right, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Item C, Finance, I'll accept a motion to approve bid waiver for laptops for newly hired staff members at Chamberlain in the amount of $11,400. Need a motion?
Move to accept.
Do I have a second? Discussion.
Same thing. I spoke with Mr. Prokop. He sent me an email. We went through the whole process. That again, these laptops are only available from one source, and he tried his hardest to find other possible sources so we could have a comparison.
Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, accept a motion to approve the retainer contract between Mr. Matthew Canada and Consolidated School District of New Britain for consulting expertise and services. I believe there was an item in our packet, wasn't there?
Webmaster addendum.
So moved.
Looks like this.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, discussion. I thought I had it.
I probably have an extra because I printed up one before I came down.
We reviewed this in finance, and there were some questions about how much work he was doing, how long he was working, and one of the things on the addendum that I saw is that he's done 43 updates alone and spent 10 hours, and it doesn't say how, late March, in the last few weeks. So he's put in a lot of work for us.
Yes. Daily.
Yeah, and I think I'm okay with I don't think my question is the keeping him as a webmaster, but what's the plan? What's the plan to teach somebody else to do it? We can't wait for a new superintendent to come in whatever month, right? Like, we need to have somebody he's gotta be training somebody to do that.
And I do believe he's on the call, unless he's on his own time now, but he was on the call earlier.
Yeah, he might be.
Matt?
Yes, I'm here.
It's good to hear your voice.
How is everyone doing?
Hanging in there. Right behind you.
That's
so cute. Sorry. So, and I don't know who that is. Is that, like, who makes that decision, the training piece of it? He can't stay forever. We're not gonna pay him $1,700 a
Well,
month.
no, this ends June 30th,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so the next person coming in has to have the skill set, and it will be on the next person coming in to then cross-train.
So, okay, so I understand the cross-train, but if Ryan Langer is the interim, shouldn't she learning so that there's also a backup for when the new person comes in?
Wait, is that like a backup to a backup?
No,
No, just
because
the
Matt
first
is
backup.
gone, right? Matt is just gonna stay and consult to be like the webmaster. Ryan Langer is interim until the new superintendent comes in and hires their communication person. But you should still have a
plan.
A plan, and somebody that's a backup to the webmaster. It shouldn't just be one person that.
Well, and Matt, you could, I mean.
Jeff, Mr. Pocock is kind of like putting his hand.
I'm the one with the coding experience that would be able to come in and make sure the person coming over has access, can do those things. And in the past, it's always fallen back to me.
Until we got Matt.
Until you got Matt. Okay.
So you volunteer?
Voluntold?
Well, my understanding from what I saw in there, Ryan Langer is filling in on a temporary basis. So whoever superintendent is posted, it's going to have to specify in the job description needs web experience. So.
Right, absolutely.
Yes.
But you still always want to have a backup.
Sure, well, Jeff is here for a while, and after Jeff, once Jacob graduates high school, no.
We do need to, out of fairness, do look at our website for, it needs to be adjusted for more mobile friendly, bootstrapping basically.
Yeah.
It needs some improvements that decisions need to be made overall before we ultimately, launch that next generation website as well. So that will start to help with, what skill sets are needed truthfully in managing that website.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, any other questions? No?
I think Matt's having deja vu, he just sat through for 3 hours.
I know, he just got to say hi. All right. Sorry. All right, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? One. Any abstentions? No. All right, motion carries. Any other business? Perfect.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.